me suffer through this source SDK snack room tutorial. I mean, this is the my, I don't know any words anymore, failing words of attempts to, oh yeah, I only found this project like, I mean this page, the 2013 page, like after I found the regular page. And then I was asking the AI all sorts of questions on how to do this right, and I still couldn't do it right. What I discovered is a lot of the stuff I already knew, and I've seen this page a little while back. But here's the important part to start on, is the architecture, I guess. The newer SDK provides us with Game Shader DX9 by default. It doesn't give us STD Shader DX9 and STD Shader DX6. Now DX6 was kind of forgotten about. Low-level graphic, okay, so Shader API 9 is the lib one that we don't get. Material System is also the one that we don't really get in the projects. I mean, in the leak, you can get this, maybe this. Anyway, we don't want to do all that leak stuff. That's like contributional or something. There is an open source HL model viewer from SDK 2006, and some of the other projects and SDKs in Orange Box had a few SDKs that went away. So what needs to happen is an O file using almost Perl compilers and stuff. And I'll talk about the 3 different compilers that I sort of know about. Needs to be converted into a VCS file, and then the VCS file can be used by the DLL to inject the uniforms and the vertex and index buffer arrays. Let's see. So the newer source SDK also has a Shader DX10 thing, and it supports PS4. Now what I tried to do is for older mod, an older 2013 mod, to be able to do this. Or as we say, be in a position to do this. See, here we have STD shaders. This one comes with everything, kind of like you have to compile everything. Now in the newer version, you don't have to compile everything. It'll just be taken by Game Shader DLL, Game underscore Shader DX9. And STD Shader will take care of all those STD shaders. So that way, the source has like two DLLs really for shaders. One's like, this is proprietary, this is what you always need. So it makes this confusing in 2013 because I kind of don't know exactly if the first version of 2013 supported the Game Shader thing. Maybe it did. I could take a look at one of my projects. This is not the one. There's another one. I have a bunch of projects, so this is what we'll be doing. We'll be just like doing what I'm recording this also just so I can just go back and be like, hey, I've tried to do this a bunch of times and I've gotten things to work, like source shader editor, like what the hell? Like, why isn't things working? I have to go get food real quick. But yeah, you can see my projects with source here is just stacked. Like it goes more. And shader RC is for Vulkan. So, and then DirectX shader test prototype is my DirectX tester. So we have DirectX 8 working. We have DX9 working with circle shader. Then I tried to convert the circle shader into source. I made another, I don't know if I got quad corners to work. But that's the idea, is to take stuff off of like, yeah, just, I don't think the shader cut is actually in here, but we can make this work. And the idea was to test. So here we see that it uses this PSO thing, VSOker, and how this works. So I believe that Vulkan sort of works like DirectX, where the shaders are kind of like compiled to a file. Wow. In OpenGL, probably Metal. I've seen Metal, it's just like the shaders inside the regular code file. And the shader in OpenGL usually is in the code file, or it's in a file and you just read out of it, it's a string file. So for example, say we build a OpenGL engine with a pretty complicated shader. Not super complicated. I wonder why this is. Maybe I just didn't get to this yet. This is going to be the implementation for one-pass text rendering, everything rendering, and sprite rendering. This one doesn't work, I'll just go to the next one, and it works. still. I need to like get back to this project. It's like multiplayer is important in RTS. Yeah, so there's 4 shader modes, all in one shader. You can see this cube right here. We're gonna have the main menu thing not disappear, because the shader logic actually controls the way the main menu UI disappears or not. And so there's like less processing. Yeah, like that's a custom shader off of shader card. I'm saying here, and I have zoom working on this camera. Some cameras don't have zoom, some do. Some are like more like this, where it's like more of an RTS type camera. The cube is making skipping frames happen. I guess I have to like not call raycast every frame maybe, or call it on a different thread. Okay. So that's like multiplayer game engine development, but it's kind of hard to stick this to this task. But this task, once you get into it, it's like hard to like stop, and it feels like you're doing nothing because all it does is fail. The compilation takes forever. But first I want to look, I actually first wanted to look at the, here's the shader compile project, shader compiler too. So yeah, I was gonna say, for the regular shader compile .exe, C sells shader compile, and then shader compile 2 from some other guys. All for source. Yeah, great. This is the one I wanted to open, but really, I want to open the, let's open the shader editor one. Okay, is this the shader editor one? Is it 30? Yeah, I think it's 30. I think I got it to work in 32 or 64. I think I got it working in 32. That was like my goal. And I don't know if I got DX6 to work, but oh, what the hell? No, this is not it. Not how it looks like. Let's close the solution for now. Because I just want to do this in a certain order. Is it this project? It's like, damn it. You don't look at something for a few months and it's like you completely like have to start over. All right. And the other project is probably the one that reads this DLL. Let's see. Yeah, it's this project, because look at all the extra libraries I added. I've added DJPEG, CKconfig, CJPEG, NC2, whatever, KNR, whatever, JPEG transparent, JPEG lib, the RGJPEG com. Yeah, does DX6 work? It might not work. Then I was like, I don't really need this one to work. No, DX6 works. Game shader DX6. Huh, okay. Interesting. I wonder if I compiled that. I should have looked at the binary directory, but you're always having your binary directory not open. Who's going to open this? Case source repos, CrimeWars 2030, front shit, material, proc shader. Proc shader. We call this thing proc shader. Whatever proc stands for. Prototype. Yeah, so there's the sixth one. vGUI controls editor. I don't know which kind of project is this, but it just looks like vGUI controls to me. All the standard vGUI stuff. Maybe there's the source shader editor is pretty cool. I don't think this has a DX9. I think I lied. Yeah, so this relies on DX6 game shaper. Huh. Let's search for this and the other, and like the CrimeWars pre-2002 repo. Which I can't compile for some other reasons, I think. Well, I can get it to compile by rebuilding it. I built this one. And we could play it and everything. And I think it might have had PBR, because the shaders I want to implement out of the base, like pool, some of the strata shaders, the PBR obviously, parallax speed maps. I was looking at the video of that 794 video, and then probably the Sky Dome. A lot of the ones that they give you kind of free out of the box, and a bunch of shader play ones I'm making in, like UI ones. Okay, this one does have a shaders project. Let's see what it compiles to by looking at VPC. So it looks like it's going to compile to game shader DX. But I could have sworn that there was a project that had STD shader DX6 and DX9. So does this have it so I can open the text files? No. Oh, it does. Only one text file though, for some stupid reason. That's weird. Alright, if I try to compile this at all, this will fail. I think. Who knows? Yeah, there's some sort of errors. I don't remember if these are my errors or their errors. They're fixable though. The UI is pretty easy to fix. And this errors just will take me. Yeah, this looks like TF2 Classic type UI stuff. Type info, like I know how to fix this error really fast. But I used to remove the .h. Oh, you just remove that. Okay. Check out another project. Really, what I should show is my last night's shit show. So I believe it all started in this terminal. And I can't even scroll up all the way. I had to switch repos because I think I fucked up my other repo. So it never got compiled, and I've seen it compiled before. I've gotten it to work, I believe, with the newer. So I don't know, maybe I should just try with the newer one first. Just get a fresh copy. So I have this, I have the Windows kit. It's kind of like, I think this one, there's different FXCs. This FXC will support it says PS 2.0. Is there a PS1? There's VS 1.1. But there's no pixel shader 1.1. Huh. Yeah, because there's VS 4.0. FXC is the Microsoft shader compiler. It's the first compiler you run, FXC, and then you run on top of that shader compiler.exe, which is Valve's wrapper shader compiler. So what that does is it includes the file you compiled with DirectX shader compiler, add some more parameters to it for the source engine to use it, without having to go into too much detail of what kind of stuff it actually does. It has like compression libraries in the shader compiler GitHub. Alright, so let's see if we can open another project. Analyze something. Project should be open. Let's go for Stratosource, Momentum mod. Simply because it's got like some of those shaders working that we like. And I don't know if this project has the DSP even changed. This is set to Visual Studio 2019. Can we keep it that? What if we say no upgrade? It won't work because I don't have 2019. I have 2013 and 15, I think. Maybe 2017 or something. I don't know. Let's just... I don't know. This either will break it or make it. Or both. Whatever. When it generates the file, it might generate it back to... Okay, was V142. Damn it. Let's go look at shaders. Here's the builds. Okay, game ship VX. Alright, so they're using the base shader as the first file. The base shader just gets included as an include file. It's kind of like all the crap you need just to set it up. Because the AI was trying to tell me there's like one shader file you need to inject. Now that was kind of true like back in the day, I think in 2006 and 7 SDKs, maybe the first early 2013. Which is kind of where I'm confused and lost too. The newer one, you should be able to compile shaders right off the bat. And I tried to like do something like take the shader out of one source, just throw it into the other, and then compile the C++ file and use the same .include file. There's these .include files that it generates when you compile the shader, and then you compile over that. So you have to compile twice. First you compile the shader into VPC, and then it also generates an inc file. That inc file gets compiled into a C++ file that uses the shader with the DLL. So the shader is a different DLL. And inside your client.dll, you use the shader. Yeah, this has PBR. There's some kind of shader named Projected also. There's some pretty cool shaders in this one. Like, it'd be nice to use PBR shader with GLTF parser. Import a new modeling format into source, and maybe upgrade the bones. Like, that would be like crazy. And with like a map size upgrade. What's Zone Maker? What is this? Does it tell you what it is? Source CAC cloud base. It looks like some sort of exe. I don't know. Just read the source code. Yeah, it looks like a map zone maker. Teleport destination, speed limit, start on jump. Yeah. It just parses maps. Okay, then they have game UI, which I believe is derivative or fork off of the Alien Swarm / Portal 2 projects. Okay. So you can modify game console dialog. There's a language file. Huh. Does this game UI thing compile? It'll want to compile a lot of shit on the bottom of it, like tier 1 and tier 0. Let's just let that go, whatever. So, what if I just didn't care and just compiled the momentum mod shader? Now shader.c is some sort of library of shader lib or something needs to be replaced if I'm to use the newer shader compiler version. By new shader compiler version, I mean shader compile.exe, but fxc has to be a certain one, because fxc needs to support, I believe, everything from PS1. So you do this command, you say where fxc, and that'll tell you where your fxc is, and then we could run fxc /?. That'll give us the target versions it supports. Now source can run off of just 2.0. Yeah, so if you make 2.0 shaders, you could even use this older DirectX 9 SDK FXC. Now, I have the newer one. I think I have actually 3 or 4 newer ones, and I wrote it down somewhere and I lost the notes, like a dumbass. I mean, I have them somewhere in a notebook, but I've changed my environment variables. I would have to just search my entire computer for all the source SDK, for all the DirectX 9 SDKs, and Windows SDKs. I think every Windows SDK had this or something. I don't remember. So this is a different terminal. So it's a little bit different environment. The developer command prompt terminal for VS 2002. I don't know why it's this one, but whatever. So I have this other one. Let's compare them. Like, I quickly compared them yesterday. So you have to put it in quotes. Dumbass thing. Why? Alright, so this has a bigger profile. It doesn't do PS 1.1 on this newer one, but it does PS 3. So I think what I may end up having to do, I don't even know how this would be done. If you wanted like to ship this, you would need to know the dependency this FXC does. And you pray that it doesn't have any dependencies. So you run this command on this and it throws out an object file. So this project has some dumbass errors. Those look like it's stupid, like little errors that can be fixed really fast, but there's only like 3 errors. It's actually 1 error. It's all the same thing, it looks like. I don't know why it gave me an error here, but whatever. So I opened it. Okay. So let's see if shaders compiles. And then we'll try to compile the shaders. By shaders compiles, I mean compile the shader DLL. Shattered glass. I'm just looking at what shaders it's compiling. Alright, shaders has screen space general, DirectX app chooser. Screen space general is a general file. And I think it's just missing a thingamabobber. Depth. Why is my other project not loaded? Maybe it is, it's just like, it's not this one. No, it's just not loaded. Because I gave up on it, and then I closed it. Oh wow, okay. This one was the one that I was trying to do yesterday. I could run it too, to see what I was up to. I'm like doing the inventory in this brick wall shader panel. It's supposed to test the test shader, like I made the test shader. Then I made a draw quad, kind of like the old-fashioned way, like we would do in starting out building an engine. We would pass the MVP, the model view projection matrix. It's like a 2D one, orthogonal or something. Then we would draw this mesh, vertex coordinates. I just drew a quad, like the most simplest thing, except for a triangle. Then, texture quad uses light map generic texture and makes this little person appear. How is it different from this one? It is, because this one I believe uses the other thing. Yeah, it's like experiments here. Inventory experiments, Carl experiments. Okay. But the main thing it was to somehow have custom shader in the UI. So we search this project. No. There's projects. So general screen space. On draw, line 227. I think the answer is just to comment that out. Now 227 is over here. This shader is bigger. This screen space shader longer. Static vertex combo shader thing. Like, we're not really doing 360 stuff here. Needed for movies and 360 launcher. Stupid 360 launcher. Now, Source SDK did update a few things yesterday. 2013. I'm not like motivating people to go out and get it because it's just like a few UI things I saw in there, but I didn't read like all the changes they made. It's around 140. SHA forgot to set static. This is a dirty workaround shortcut. Alright, so it is a little different over here. This one is kind of like an older-ish method way of doing it. So what would happen if we do the lazy fix? This is the fix that we would do without the help of AI. Because the help of the AI can just sometimes just like, he starts just writing stuff and you're just like, all right, this is not going to work, but cool. And yeah, so comment this out. So that worked. The first part worked. Because we know it's the set static combo, and it's getting this integer. But VSH forgot to set static intruder with 1. It's just got to be some defined one. What? How is this? Yeah, but where is that defined? Let's see where this RGB thing is. It's right there. This is a dirty workaround for shortcut FXC. It must be somewhere, unless I have it set. No, I have it set to set. Let's just search for this thing. It's a shader param thing. It's probably this shit. It's up on line 42. Let's see, is it? No, that's here. How come it's not seeing it then? Oh, you're gonna say, oh, this is bad. Screen space, I believe, is vertex to generic. Yeah, vertex on lip generic. So if we mess this up, we're just gonna get a blob and never have display. But no, kind of joking about that, but yeah. But how is this defined? It's an int. It's a local variable that's an int. I get it. It is defined just straight up right here. You know how I know? Because everything was defaulted to integer. But how come here it's defined by this thing, really? So it tells us, it just like when we go to definition, it just points over here. Can we expand? Yeah, int. When it expands, this is how it should look like. Okay, let's unexpand it and then do the other one. Visualize expansion. And that's it. Well, anyway, my solution to this is going to be put it in here. So we need to find shader library. I don't even know why I have the other one set. Maybe like I like went to sleep and said screw all this before. So I have multiple versions of DirectX installed. So we're jumping all over the crap, but getting something like wrong at some point, so it's okay. More fried potatoes will solve everything. We're going to source. This is like source code for like any kind of libraries. And let's look at there's DX9, there's DX 2008. It should be in utilities or something. Bin. Let's do the 86. And we have an FSC in here. Yeah. Let's see what this FXC can compile. And that's why I have the example DirectX projects, is so I could compile shaders with these FXCs. And all right, see if develop. This one less support than the other one, I guess, for high level. For low level, I can't see it yet. I can't see it yet. Yeah, PS 2.0. There's no PS 1.1, but there is PS 1.1, I believe. Yeah, but I don't even know if Source needs PS. If there is such a thing as Pixel Shader. No, there is, because the other one shows it. This one is the one that doesn't have it. We have these two. See that this one has a lot more. Let me like sanitize this. Insanity it. Okay. Still creates like visual problems. Talking about shaders here, and we're visually analyzing everything in prompt. So it should be done. Where's the other one? Damn it. Whatever. Yeah, so we do have VS 1.1 and PS 1.1. Okay. Now I am not happy with you today. hell do I do? I don't have a... They say to download the November 2008. SDK. I think this is the one. That's crazy. There's another one. There's the Microsoft DirectX June 2010. Oh, I didn't know that we had to get like 4 Microsoft DirectX SDKs rounded up to do this. But yeah, I just went crazy. Decided this is going to work somehow. Okay. See what this can do. PS 1.1, but pixel shader. Yeah, pixel shader 2.0. Huh. Interesting. So we have to use this one for the older crap. One of these for all the 3 and up. What the fuck? Shit doesn't make any sense. How are we supposed to use 2 of these? Compiling DirectX shaders. Let's go look at FXC prep for a second here. PyTorch Blender project. Maybe I have the wrong DirectX SDK. This folder would actually be a good folder to search just FXC and just see how many there is in here. And the other good folder to search FXC is the Microsoft's SDK, Windows SDK. It should find shit. Now it's found a few of them already. Okay, those are the June 2010 ones. It's garbage. Those are the 2008. That one's in DirectX 9. It actually says 2002. Yeah, this is the old school one. There should be another one, I believe. So a lot of these will compile with the 2.0 and the 3.0 shaders, and really that's all we need, but when you can recompile all of them, you need like the old one or something. So inside source SDK, MP, DevTools, source, DevTools, there is the bin directory, and we got this fxc prep.perl. And it does like stuff. I also want to load build shader list. So it has this like little Perl code that does some parsing. Perl is really nice for text-based operations once you learn the language. It has a very good regular expression engine, superior to PHP. But PHP is actually simpler to work, generate strings. Perl is a little harder, but it's more powerful. It also has a bunch of modules too, so there's advantages to both. But this was written in Perl because Perl was more preferred back in the day over PHP. PHP was kind of it was like a hipster or fab or what do you call it, language. So here we see the real shader preparation stage. Oh, balloon. This is stupid. I want to show you what my thing does. It doesn't do anything. The thing about this is like it doesn't have a lot of print Fs or print to the screen. I'm gonna change directories on this, don't I? I'll just start kind of a new one, but I was gonna compile the other one. We can't compile two at the same time because, well, we can't compile two at the same time from the same directory. I'm very sure of that because it uses like these text files to just pipe things. So never compile from the same directory at the same time, unless you're manually doing everything. And even then, I think some of the files can override each other. Like shaded.o, like the same file for recycled. The same file is reused. In this project, we have the SDK shaders like all packed in here. This one might work, but this one is like the SDD shader project. Yeah, this looks like the older build system that has build all projects. What build is this? Interesting. Maybe base my mod off of this build. It has TF. And this next bot full of shit. This means that this is the newer bot. Yeah, this looks like the newer build. Yeah, this is my IAM GUI implementation. So it compiles in the newer source SDK. Yeah, shader compiled to readme. So I bet you this will work right out of the box. Let's see if it does. What it doesn't have is the old... No, it does have the old shaders. The PSH and VSH. But what will it do to those if it doesn't have the right compiler? It's going to choose the first one. Chooses the first one. I don't remember. I set up the environment some stupid way. It's going to set up the Visual Studio 2013 environment. And will that have a different FCX? I mean, FXC? Game shader generic STB. Game shader generic STB shell 2. And then there's example. Alright, whatever. Let's just pick out the right batch file and run it. I don't care what happens at this point. I want to take a break from this anyway. Tired of this. Oh, dynamic will only compile the ink files, I believe. Alright, this will compile this. So, edits. So compile it to TF2 mod. Some other thing there. SDK shaders will target SDK shaders file. Let's put our shader in here. Say we wrote this like test shader. And we also had test shader.c++. It doesn't really have any parameters, it just does some stupid thing. Let's see what it does here in a second. Alright, let's just copy these four files first. So I always like these problems with this. What the hell is sample 4x4 blend? Logarithmic, min max. That's crazy. This one's supposed to have it, damn it. Is that it? There it is. It's like hiding from us. Okay. Let's just add the 2.01 first, and then worry about adding 3.0 and 3.1. I don't believe there's any kind of backwards compatibility coded in. I'll just like not care for now. Do we add the VS shader first or the PS? I don't think it really cares. It just compiles it. Okay. Save that. We need the execution bat file. We also need to go and add it to the VPC and regenerate this. Game shader generic. Okay, not this. Let's just do by type, find all the bat files, go to the correct one. I like doing this, just open everything. This will do SDD shaders, build shaders. Does it have quotes around SDK? Do we have to fix this shit? We don't need to because it's going to try to use shader compile too. And I don't believe this thing even like uses any of the fucking Perl shit anymore. Yeah, it just uses shader compile too. Okay. So, in order to make shader editor work, it has to use this new fucking system. Sorry for my disgruntled feelings. Something. Fuck. But we could still compile those shitty ass shaders though. They're still away, I think. Or this thing does it anyway. It's going to be an interesting experiment between Source SDK SC, Source SDK map-based, and Momentum, and regular SDK, TF2 SDK, and all the half-life. Trying to get Source SDK version on top of it to work. Huh. There's like 20 side projects here. I don't like this. We want to call this one, I believe. Set your source directory, that's fine. Set your game folder, that's fine. This looks like it's all ready to go. Like, there's no more configuration, like, that's it. They've made this configuration so much easier. The other configuration was just unconfigurable. Like, you had to just like clean and die and separate and recompile everything. Like, it was, you could just say that somehow it became deliberately undoable. Even though it was just because of the nature of the stupidity of it. Alright, so this is 2019, I mean 29. Okay. We're not in 2029 yet, I'm sorry, but it'll like turn that at some point. Okay, building for B2. So we added our B2s. Oh my god, take a break right now. Yeah, it's working. Like, this is what it's supposed to show. This is what it's supposed to show. And it will do it pretty quickly because we're done. We don't have anything in 30. Errors 8, errors 1, test shader, unexpected syntax. All right, good. So this works. I could work with that. But this is 64-bit newer shit. Oh well. I couldn't get the 64-bit server going.